Um, Hi everyone. Welcome to FUJI Textile Week Global Talk. Today we are inviting Shih Wei Chieh, an artist from Taiwan, and we're gonna discover about his artwork and his thought. Before we are going for that, I'd like to share about who we are and what we are doing. And we are a Fab Cafe, and this is the entrance of Fab Cafe Tokyo. And I'd like to explain what Fab Cafe is. Fab Cafe is a cafe as an open space, but also our theme is digital fabrication. So it's a cafe, but people can do making using digital fabrication technology. But also it's becoming a kind of community or our salon, if you can say. And we are a global community. We have 12 locations right now. And in each location, of course, we have a cafe inside. But it's a Fab Cafe, so we have machines and we do workshops, sometimes do like educational workshops, some like drone community inside. This is also France. And sometimes this kind of crazy stuff is happening inside Fab Cafe, or even together with a big corporate or client or education like universities. This is also a project happened in Bangkok. Graffiti artists, and we collaborate with a robotic arm company to collaborate robotics and graffiti art. And it's really difficult to capitalize what Fab Cafe is. However, what I think is it's a creative community. Again, this is pictures of Fab Cafe. We do event all the time inside. This is before the Corona, but we still do the event online. This is Bangkok, Taipei. So we are kind of becoming a creative hub in each cities. We have an open space as a cafe, so everyone can come. You can make a stuff, but you don't need to necessarily make a stuff. You can just kind of hang around. And we do this kind of meetup event all the time. And creator or engineers or lots of professionals gathers at Fab Cafe, and we are becoming, we are trying to become a creative hub in each local cities. So, for example, there's the architecture community, like car design, haptic design, or even the fashion or graphic design, interactive art. And of course, we are a cafe, so we do like cupping workshop or a coffee workshop, food and agriculture tech, even the education workshop during the summertime, electronics, algorithmic design, open hardware, geeky stuff, robotics, and even the biotechnology. We have a bioclub in the second floor of Fab Cafe Tokyo. There's a little proper biotechnology laboratory, and every Tuesday, people gathers to try out the new technology or make a bio art. And why we're here at FUJI Textile Week 2021 is we are trying to make Fab Cafe in Fuji here in 2022. As maybe the people here know, there's in the one of the venue is a previous bank, and we are trying to make a Fab Cafe in the first floor here, 2022 summer. And today we are inviting one of the artists from Ufab, which is one of the activities Fab Cafe does. And Kelsey, can you talk about that?
Sure. Thank you, Daiki. Can you see my screen okay? Excellent. Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Kelsey Stewart. I'm also working with Daiki at Fab Cafe in Tokyo. I'm also coordinating a lot of global projects with global founders around the world. As Daiki mentioned, we have 12 locations, 4 in Japan, including Tokyo, Kyoto, Nagoya, and Hida and Takayama. And then we're also located in Bangkok and Taiwan, 2 locations in France, Strasbourg, Toulouse, Barcelona, Monterrey, Mexico, Hong Kong, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And something about these Fab Cafes, which is special, is that each of the local Fab Cafe founders, they grow their own creative communities there with their network within the creative industry around that city. And we try to connect those local cities to the global network to increase creative projects around the world. One of the projects which is shared by all Fab Cafes is called Ufab, the Global Creative Awards. So this year, just the same as Fab Cafe Tokyo, we're going to be celebrating our 10th anniversary of Ufab. So it's really exciting for us to continue with this tradition. So what is Ufab exactly? So as I mentioned, it's been run since 2012. And in the beginning, it started as a kind of laser cutting contest. At that time, digital fabrication machines were seen as these kind of holy grail to, solve the world's problems. In the end, we found that 3D printers cannot necessarily save the world, but perhaps the people behind them might be able to do so. So we became very interested in the creators around the world who are constantly reinventing and refashioning this culture or this term fab or fabrication. So we're always looking to see what new ideas can be hacked and kind of excite and provoke our imagination. Ufab has 3 key purposes. First, we hope to promote digital fabrication and new tech to society. I think more and more over the past 10 years, Ufab has been going towards more of a society-based perspective. The second purpose for us is to connect creators to industry to inspire meaningful collaboration. So every year we have a special prize from the Ufab sponsor, which tries to take a kind of slightly different perspective on that year's theme. It's always our goal to try to connect the winners of Ufab and other creators to industry to see what kind of interesting collaborative projects can emerge. The third purpose for Ufab is to discover and support new creators. So finding these kind of talented individuals in the field of fabrication and supporting their efforts is something that Fab Cafe is always trying to do. This is one of the points of having the cafe aspect inside Fab Cafe. We hope to make a completely accessible and open space for anybody and everybody to come and answer themselves the question, what do you fab? I think that Ufab is also reflecting this value of ours. So what kind of creators are we gathering with Ufab? Well, the spectrum is just as wide as Daiki just presented. Sometimes it's bio, fashion, robotics, geeky stuff, culturally deep stuff. And the slide I'm showing to you now, you can see some of the winners from Ufab in 2019. So for example, here on the top left was our grand prize, which was called Regenerative Reliquary by artist Amy Carl in San Francisco, California. In this work, basically, she's created a 3D printed structure of the trabecular bone of the hand. And she's put this 3D printed hand inside a bioreactor where actually, if it's the live version, there are actual live stem cells which are growing bone onto the hand. This is a kind of bio type of winner for Ufab. You can also see on the bottom right is the project which is called Third Thumb by Daniel Claude. Third Thumb was also the winner of this Ufab 2019 special award, which was for haptic design. The essence of this work was that the third thumb can actually move by itself, depending on the sensor which you can wear inside your boot. Some other works, for example, student award winning work might be a pen that you can use on an iPad and give you a kind of calligraphy feel to it. We have architectural winners. We have winners that involve knitting and technology. Really, the genres are very wide. One winning work in particular that I would like to introduce to everyone today, since we are here at FUJI Textile Week and and we're talking about textile, was the first prize from Ufab 2019, which was called Mind in the Machine by American-born creator Annie Liu. So this piece takes a brainwave signal of factory workers and programs the machine to create a knit that reflects the cognitive states of the person who is operating the machine. So it's a project that reflects on the mark of human hand in the age of mechanical production, as well as the anonymous human contributions involved in an economy of automation. This was a very beautiful work that we had the opportunity to actually exhibit in Tokyo as well during that exhibition. We also received comments from the judges from Ufab. In this case, the judge was Chiaki Hayashi, who said, "We are faced with questions about the relationship between machines and humans in many parts of our lives. Machines were meant to provide support for humans, but upon closer consideration, humans are under the control of machines. An encounter with such a situation at a Chinese knitwear factory led to a unique concept that reconnects the link between the workers and the finished garments. A program that weaves the factory fabric loosely and gently when workers are relaxed, but when workers are under stress, pulls the stitches tightly together as they are woven. By doing so, the finished garments seem to give a voice to many of the anonymous workers who sustain mass production behind the scenes." So just to give you an idea of what this work looks like close up, you can see here on the piece of knit, the actual brainwaves of the production workers behind the scenes are being fabricated here. I would like to talk just a little bit about this year's theme. So for 2021 Ufab Global Creative Awards, our theme is called Democratic Experiments, which has been curated by this year's new chief judge, Asa Ito. So in Democratic Experiments, we're looking at 2 points in particular, to create something with a democratic attitude and to create and explore democracy through creation. This has been a very exciting theme for us, especially because it's a moment that we can kind of look back at Ufab, look back at Fab Cafe, and the entire culture of Fab to think about what is democratic or what is experimental about this context. Other judges for this year, aside from the new Chief Judge Asa Ito, is Casco Land, which is an international Amsterdam-based network of artists, architects, designers, performers. Kampide Bahana, who's a DJ and member of the Nyanya Collective, and Adina Tsukada, who is a curator and editor. This year's Ufab chairman is again Toshiya Fukuda, who is the co-founder of Fab Cafe and 777's Creative Strategies Company Limited, and also Ufab owner Chiaki Hayashi, who is the Loftwork co-founder, who co-founded Loftwork in 2000 and currently serves as the representative director. So about this year, we just recently closed the applications for Ufab. At the end of October, we just had our judgment table. So I hope that you are excited to hear about the winners for this year. Actually, this year for Ufab, we had the most applicants that we have had in any year of Ufab, with 334 applicants coming from, I believe it was, yes, about 33 different countries around the world. As I mentioned, we're now in the process of finalizing the finalists and making the announcements for them. Our winners are going to be announced in January of 2022, and our ceremony and exhibition is planned for end of February or beginning of March in 2022. This year, we are very excited to welcome Panasonic as the special partner of Ufab. They've created a Panasonic's Prize under the umbrella of Democratic Experiments. And right now we are currently planning to have the exhibition at the Panasonic Center, which is in Ariake in Tokyo, Japan. So if you are in Tokyo around this time, please come visit us and see all the really exciting works that we have gathered under Ufab. And without further ado, I'd like to pass the baton back to Daiki to introduce one of our past Ufab winners, Shih Wei Chieh.
Thank you, Kelsey. So I'd like to invite our past Ufab winner and an artist based in Taiwan, Shih Wei Chieh, aka Abao. We cannot hear you. You're mute.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. Thank you for joining today. Sorry, we talked too much, but you can talk for half an hour. So, so I know you're doing a really interesting work using textiles and fabrics and technology. So I think it kind of matches what we are doing at FUJI Textile Week, and hopefully in the future we can invite foreign artists to the festival and also Puff Coffee Fuji. So I wonder if you can start the presentation and give us your thought.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. So I will share my screen here. Yes. So
Yeah,
you
we
see
can
now?
see. Yeah.
Okay. So I will very honored to be here to introduce few of my works. Sorry for the noise. So I got this grant from Ufab in 2015. So it's kind of one of my early work. It's called Llc Project. But before we go to the introduction of the Llc Project, I will shortly introduce my background. So in the early stage of my work, I work with e-textile, like conductive thread. For example, like this is my residence in Mexico, Oaxaca. So by the time I wanted to find a way to work with, to combine technology with textile as a wearable art. But this is also my first time to get into the social context, get connected to social context with my own practice. So for example, like this one is, this is a doll called Adelita. It's a collaboration with Bandui Lab in 2013. I just work with this group to convert the local mythology characters into design work. So we visited many Aztec villages during that time. So it's like this a village called Enalco, and this is the Adelita. This is a women image in the Mexico inner wall. So yeah, so that is my first practice with e-textile, and we do like a workshop in the village. And so the reason why I use embroidery is because I want to find a way to work with those local people with the techniques they already knew, they are familiar with, so they can work with engineering content without the training. And then later I made the piece myself. So that is my basically what I do. And for the Llc project this time, I will show you this video, and I will introduce it over the video. So in the beginning, I used to work with lasers, but as an audiovisual piece. So I wanted to find a way to document the audiovisual process. So like in this picture, this images is from photography, conventional photography, and all the images is composed by one dot movement by the effect of the vision persistent. So then I realized, okay, so I can make real images. I can create, I could document images by laser movement. So I found that this old craft technique called Sienotype, which is very, very well known for photographers. So this is an emulsion which is developed before the film generation. And so this is my first prototype. I just project the image onto this fabric. This fabric is pre-coated with the cyanotype emulsions. And then the laser movement and the frequencies defines the grayscales of the coated fabric. And then we moved to garment and fashion disciplines. So for example, like this one is a sewed garment, is already made, and then we project the image afterward. This is how the setup is. Yeah. So the movement of the laser also brings a lot of possibilities. For example, like you can create images on uneven surfaces or fragile materials like a kombucha, or like anyway, like material couldn't be printed on with the conventional printer. So this is the advantage of the optical projection. So then, because of the pattern also matters, so here I also created some interesting movement to create interesting cyanotype patterns. I also tried to work with the robot arm and to make to find out more possibilities for 3D object surface imaging. And this is a short residency in Seoul, Korea, with the Teen Void. It's a media art group. And this is the result. And also the other very interesting thing is because this projection doesn't need negative film participation, so you can print, the printing size is not limited, so you can print relatively very large thing. Like this one is 3 by 3 meters textiles. So, and then I want to introduce you this collaboration with NTCI. So I had a exhibition for laser dye in National Taiwan Craftsmanship Research and Design Institute in 2019 and 20. And that was my first time to publish this work in a big exhibition. And this one is in the Taipei Art Expo. And with NTCI, by the knowledge they possess, we are able to try out some experiment with nature dyeing. So in the Sienotype, there is a conventional process called the retoning. So firstly, you can bleach out your image, and then you can re-dye it. We call it toning. Re-dye it with black tea and then we tried other nature dye planes. So here are some prototypes to have a different color. So like this one is kind of in golden color. And after the exhibition, the collaboration with NTCI, and we created exhibition catalog. As you can find this catalog online on my website, and there's also the coding and the hardware structure is also all in open source, and all the document of this laser dye project. So please welcome to find the information there. Okay, and then I work as an individual artist, and recently I'm trying to do some curating job too. But I want to introduce you this the origin of my interest for combining textile and the electronics. Like I think this group called e-textile summer camp. This event is hosted by a bunch of e-textile people, which is very important in my career because they host this event to open the science, to make an exchange and create the gathering like in family styles. And yeah, so that's how I continue my e-textile interest. And for but I think for this e-textile community, the very important spirit is because of the loom, because of the relationship between the Jacquard loom and the punched card. And this is the because we always talk about this, like the computer was inspired by the Jacquard loom, and you can compute code. How do we compute code in weaving structures? So this is the very, I think this is the very inspiring and encouraging element in this e-textile community. And electronically, also this core rope memory is often mentioned, like the first generation ROM is for the Apollo project is also by the weaving, exploit the weaving structures. So that's how we start, how this e-textile scenario is established. Anyway, so this, I think the most important spirit is the gathering, and they host this every year for 10 days in south of France. So we just go there and drink and eat and make a workshop and exchange what are our current projects. Yeah, for example, like this group is showing the prototype. Like they convert this core rope memory into a jacket, and some touch screen but by embroidery, machine embroidery and weaving, and some laser cut circuit wearables, and kombucha workshop. Yeah, then that inspired me to trigger this event called Tribe Against Machine. This is my old project in 2017 and 18. So by the time we invited those e-textile community to work with the Artayo group in Taiwan. Artayo is a Aboriginal group in Taiwan, one of the Aboriginal groups. So we kind of continue the structure of the e-textile summer camp, but we involved the Aboriginal culture and the ethnic textile cultures in the workshop exchange. And then after the workshop, some pieces are generated. Like this one is the traditional bright headset of Artayo, but it is innovated into an antenna, and there's a receiver and outputs. So the magnetic field can tells the two motors in the piece to turn. It's about to, I think this is about the Aboriginal side and the textile community. They have this common idea about spirit or unseen energy. And this one is made of bioplastic. It's gelatin with the rami. Rami is the most usable fiber in Artayo textile culture. And that's the lily pay in the middle of it. And this pattern is converted from the traditional Artayo pattern, and it is made of conductive fabric, so it is actually a distant detecting sensor. And this one too, but this one is done by machine embroidery. In the middle is a coil, is made of silver conductive threads, and it's telling 555 oscillator to make noise. So it is also, the input is also magnetic field and output is noise. And the most current project is still to work. I work with NTCRI. So right before the COVID started, we wanted to ask some of the e-textile people to come to Taiwan, but we couldn't because the COVID started. And then we turned this project into an online residency. So this event is called Having Friends in the Future because we think the task in this event is to expand the border of the traditional traditional craftsmanship in Taiwan. So I wanted to bring up the disciplines like a bioplastic or e-textile, material science, to introduce this concept, not just material, but also the concept to the traditional craftsmanship thing in Taiwan. So that is why we called it, it's a Having Friends in the Future, because we didn't know, it's an experimental project and we didn't know what is the goal. So we try to host the online talks. So everyone introduced their own project, and we try to introduce the Taiwan craftsmanship technique to the foreign participants too. But the result is pretty limited because you can really hard for you to collaborate online without any physical exchange. So after the talk, we found a way to continue the exchange. So we continued the traditions in the e-textile summer camp, which is every year we exchange swatches. Swatches represent your current practice. So we make, for example, like 23 copies to the host, and then the organizing host will assemble all the swatches into a swatch book, which is kind of like the material library concept to me. So it is not just a swatch book. I think this is a collection of all the identity from all the participants. So this is the original e-textile swatch exchange book. Like in the left picture, there's a knitted touch sensor. It's created by Bing. So in Taiwan, we also have received many swatches from the participants, and eventually we made these swatches. Like this one is made by a Taiwanese artist called Yang Wei. Her name is Yang Wei Lin, and after this workshop, after this event, she started to experiment combining active charcoal with kombucha and paper pulp, because she used to make paper art. So this is her swatches. And the other participant from LA, she has the identity of Atayo, but she grew up in LA, and she sent over this textile piece. It's assembled with the local plants, the local plants which is the local Aboriginal people use for clothing, and three pieces together. One is from the local nature fiber, and the one is Atayo textiles, and the indigo dye textile. So she sewed these three pieces together to indicate her mixed identity. And this is from an artist, Aphrodite Sala. She works with machine embroidery with conductive threads, and this is a fractal antenna to detect the satellite signal. In this project, she wants to hijack the signal from weather satellite. It's about to tell the concept of the citizen science and the DIY science. And this one is made by Audrey Behield. She made these swatches after the event, and this piece is to show how she bleached the conductive fabric with rice, and this is how you can create the mask with rice, which is we consider it's bioplastic. So this is a non-toxic way to produce circuits with and she gained this knowledge after this workshop. online workshop. And this is a work from Julia Tomasel. She makes this female petal to detect the female health. And this is made of this is made by agar, and but she put some butterfly bee juice in it, so the color changes according to the pH. So you can tell your health by the pH changing. And this is a work by Yi Chen. It's a paper mulberry. It's a touch sensor it's a button, and it's a touch sensor. It's a mixed with the paper mulberry fiber and the activated charcoal. So some works are generated like this one. I made this one, and this is a DSSC greenhouse. Is a solar cell made of fruit, basically. And this is a work of Yang Weilin too. After the event, she made a piece of dinner event, but all the vessels and the textile are made of kombucha, mixed with kombucha cellulose and the fiber, the paper mulberry fiber. And this is a work with Yi Chen. This cyber garden this dress is embedded with many LED, and it is a data visualization of the weather. But she mixed it very well. She mixed the circuit very well with her hand-weaved piece. So that was my my other practice, like curating with e-textile. Try to make e-textile work with traditional crafts. So I think this might be helpful information for this event, for this talk. And then I want to go back to the current project, which is the I participated in this project with the laser dye practice too. Like this one is called Llc Project. This is a work in collaboration with Maria Jose and the ALMA. ALMA is an astronomy station based in Chile. So I am invited in this project. And this project is mainly about data visualization, to build up the relationship between data visualization and the ethnic culture, and to mimic the Anding and the Mapuche people, how they embed the astronomy information in their textiles. So I think it's a very interesting practice. So she thinks, I think her approach is to find the way to make the textile contains data, and to find her own way to introduce the ethnic culture, but together with the combination with the modern astronomy data, so to create a good circle or good economic between new culture and the old culture. So yeah, for example, like Andes people, they document the cycle of the sun, the movement of the sun in their textile with a very accurate indication. And this has 1,000 years history. I don't have much knowledge for this South American Aboriginal people. So yeah, but this is, I can introduce things I only know. So by my part in this collaboration, I think they want to introduce the concept of these dark constellations of Incas to the audience. So I think my task is to find a way to do it with the approach of data visualization design. So for example, they have many, they in the Incas culture, they do have this bright star, the constellation composed with bright star, but also the dark constellation composed with the dark nebula areas. So they have, for example, they have this star sign called the shepherd and the fox and the llama, yeah, toad. So we think this great rift area. So my approach is to find the find the current find the contemporary astronomy data which corresponding to the location of the dark constellation areas, and then find a way to document it, to data visualization it onto textile with laser dye. And the other particular interesting thing for me here is how the ALMA is the Atacama Large Millimeter Array. It is a radio astronomy station. So it actually detects non-visible objects with the technology of interferometry, which is they emit the magnetic field wave and then they get the feedback. But it's pure, they get the feedback reflected from the object, and then they analyze it, and then they analyze the feedback, and then they reconstruct it back into visible images. And this is the consultant of this project, Matsushita Satoki. He is the expert of the interferometry, which is the very principle how this astronomy station works. If you don't know what is interferometry, maybe you have seen this picture. So their team has built this. They discovered this image of black hole. So yeah, so I think here are very technical, but basically what I do here is just to convert the feeds data into laser dye pattern in textile, and this feeds data is a very standard file format to document astronomy data. And I try to find this data around the Cossack dark nebula, and then we try to document it. And for example, like to convert this radio waves into visible pattern on textile. And I have built some reference of the graphic design. This is not database. This is this images is I designed, and this is a coding I designed to, if you feed the data to the program, it will gives you this generated result according to your data. For example, like the feed data. But this is not database yet. This is only based on my interpretation. So you could actually fit it whatever data. Sorry. And at the last, I want to introduce you another project which the laser dye project is participating in, the CLI-02 data. But this CLI-02 project, but this is this project, this collaboration is still young. I only work with them for 1 month, but this is a project of Johanna Skis and Kelly Mason. So they created 360 tokens of NFT, and they want to data visualize those NFT token. And the very concept of this project is they want to embody this idea that the smart contract is the art itself. So they publish these tokens online on OpenSea, but in a way they also want to convert those blockchain ecology and the token itself into physical pieces. So that's how my work is trying to visualize that with the dyeing technique. And the visualization, they have already designed this laser movement. So what I do is just to print this. But I think this interests me because this is my current approach to understand what is NFT and how I can connect my previous skills to this very trendy NFT society. So this is my some printing at the moment. I have made 3 prints of 3 tokens. Yeah, so this is basically my presentation today. So I will give the screen back to Daiki. Thank you very much.
Hi, Abel. This is Kelsey. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you very much too.
Great. I can still see your screen, so maybe.
Okay.
Let's see, just one moment. So Abel, if you can take your screen sharing down, and you can turn your video back on when you can.
Okay. Yeah, was it 30 minutes? Maybe it was.
No, it was perfect. But
Okay.
if you go down to share screen to take down your share screen.
Still sharing?
Perfect.
Sorry.
Okay.
Welcome
back. Back. Great. So from now, we want to go into a pretty short, about 10-minute crosstalk with you. So the first kind of question that I have is, I can see that you're working with a very, very diverse community of people with the various projects that you've been presenting. One in particular that I would like to hone in on is the kind of relationship with local or native craftspeople. I think here in Fuji Yoshida with Fuji Textile Week, for some local manufacturers, it might be the first time that they've worked with an artist to find a new expression for their textile. And so the question I'd like to have for you is, whenever you apply technology or kind of artistic expression to a garment or embroidery or other traditional textile piece, what is the reaction of the native craftspeople and other local people? In particular, what is the kind of value that they see in what you and other e-textile artists are doing?
Yes, I work with many different people from very different disciplines. But I would say it's really a big task, and it's not easy to put your practice in this collaboration sociologically. So I think sometimes it gets very political, and also I think usually I really feel like it is. I mean, I really feel like this technology really defines the class or your concept. So I don't have any. I honestly don't have the answer for your question because by my experience, there's I couldn't tell if it is good result to work with them or not. Because usually if you work, for example, if I want to work with to put the e-textile with the ethnic, to combine it with the ethnic cultures, you expect some higher concept, like you expect these two societies or to repair each other or to help each other, but the reaction of the collaboration and the result is usually not what you really expect, and I don't think you can control it, especially when you do these cross disciplines. You try to trigger these cross discipline collaborations. Usually, in the material part, it is okay, but conceptually, I think people are really in a very different mindset, and that is also the shrink model of I think the shrink model of the problems, the contemporary, the modern problem of the world. I don't know. It's just but I think I think the best answer for this maybe is the education, because I think we are all trained differently. So that is why, you encounter the problems why you are working with people with very, very different very, very different background than yours. So, but I think you shouldn't start this exchange. I think if you keep up making this exchange, I think it is still good. Doesn't matter in the beginning, it's difficult. For example, like while I am working with the NTCRI, we have very different concepts for fibers, like what is fibers, and they okay, yeah.
No, I can pick up what you're putting down, and it makes sense that because they're, as you mentioned, it's kind of two different societies are kind of merging under the same pretense of, creating art, for example. I think that there must be a lot of challenges around this, but I'm wondering, like, of course, you're being influenced by new knowledge or new mindsets. For example, you just mentioned, the garment or textile itself might have a kind of different concept depending on the local people's perspective. Has there been any opportunity to have a kind of like a co-mutual influence upon each other? Like, or more specifically, have you ever seen or experienced, for example, a local person's work being influenced by the ideas that you're bringing, or the other way around, where your ideas are being heavily influenced by, this native mindset?
I think the case to work with NTCRI, yes. For example, like the swatch I introduced. Like one of the swatch was it's about how to etching the circuit on conductive fabric, but it's usually you solve it with chemicals. But this girl, okay, she solved it with the nature, the traditional way, which is she learned from this workshop. Also, this kombucha textile, kombucha cellulose work by the Wei Ling. But that is just for art, and usually there's many circumstances. Like actually, to work with NTCRI, it is a government project, so the agenda is very different. They want to make an art piece, and they want to create a new piece with new idea, but and also with the Archeology people, you work with them, you bring this e-textile to them, and then they want to learn the skill. They want to learn the capture the technology part. I think by these two cases, yeah, I think the point they all want to empower their own their own self. But conceptually, we don't really expect that. We expect some discussion or something more conceptual could be generated, but usually it ends up like this. I mean, for this kind of event, if you bring the new concept or higher technology to the traditional or craftsmanship community, it's kind of like that. So but this is not you cannot blame any side of that. I think this is the responsibility of the organizer, or it could be under a better curating structure. So anyway, I think all this, if I do my own practice or do my art, I think that is very easy. But you seek for the new expression for textile art. Yeah, so that is why you think it's interesting to combine the new and old. But then once I go there, I realize this is beyond my beyond my capability, because I didn't know how to handle this political conflict or so I think I don't have the solutions. But I think usually this is the circumstance of this kind of collaboration.
Right. And there probably is no like single solution. It's probably very scene specific. But I think Daiki might also have a question. Daiki?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for your presentation, Abo. We are a bit out of time, so really quickly, I'd like to. I saw your work like as a. It's the textile as a media, I would say. So it was really interesting getting into like a local community and speak with them. And now you're kind of getting into like NFT and like a kind of new area too. So just quickly, I want to ask what kind of collaboration in the future, what kind of new work you are thinking to do, and we can end this talk.
Well, right now, for this NFT collaboration, it is a very good opportunity for me to learn, because it is still new to me, and I think, and they actually create the tokens, so it's very interesting, and I, in between this very cutting edge disciplines and then the traditional craftsmanship, I think sometimes I feel like my role is in I have this self-awareness that I because I'm like a medium, so maybe I have some responsibility to deliver the concept well, or to introduce the two communities well. It is I think I'm capable to do that, so therefore I have some responsibility to it. And for my future project, for example, like I really into the interferometry property of this, how this astronomy radio station works, and laser dye is a optical technique with exploit the laser, and laser is a coherent light, so it could have it could create like an interferences pattern on textile too. So I am looking forward to find out how possible is that? And the other project is the solar cell windows. I'm recycling windows and make it. I'm trying to DIY the solar cell myself, but with the machine learning training. So yeah, mostly technical. But no, yeah, right now just want to do these stuffs.
Thank you, Abao. And it was a great talk. And sadly, we couldn't invite you to Fuji this time, but hopefully next year or after Fuji has been established, hopefully in the summer, we try to invite you to Fuji and work here. So again, thank you for your talk. And
thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for watching, everyone. And we end this talk with Shih Wei Chieh this time. So thank you.
AKA Abao.